His walk gave him away. Duck feet, shoulder lean. A specific gait pattern documented on Nancy Guthrie's doorbell camera. The same pattern observed in separate footage by independent investigators analyzing this case. We're not accusing anyone. We're presenting observations that raise questions. Questions that deserve investigation. His name is Tomaso Cioni, and after 5 months and 2 days, certain details deserve closer examination. 5 months and 2 days since Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home. 5 months and 2 days of investigation. 5 months and 2 days of theories and false leads and dead ends. But what if the answer was there the whole time? What if we've been looking at the wrong person while the actual suspect has been hiding in plain sight? Let's start with observations about Gait. Some independent investigators have analyzed surveillance footage and identified a specific physical pattern, duck feet, when a person's toes point outward as they walk. A distinctive characteristic that some say appears in doorbell footage from the night of Nancy's disappearance. When these same observers reviewed separate video footage of Tomaso Cioni, they noted similar physical patterns. The same duck foot positioning, similar shoulder positioning. These similarities have been discussed extensively on independent investigation channels and in online communities focused on this case. However, investigators have not publicly released official Gait analysis or confirmed that this observation is part of their investigative work. No law enforcement agency has stated that physical comparison analysis has identified anyone as a suspect. Some observers believe these physical similarities warrant closer scrutiny, but official Gait analysis conducted by law enforcement would be confidential and has not been publicly disclosed. To Nancy, we pray for you. We pray your family gets the closure they deserve. We pray for justice. We pray for truth. We pray that investigators follow the evidence wherever it leads, and that 5 months and 2 days is enough time for the actual perpetrator to finally face accountability. So let's look at other factors that have drawn attention, because motive is everything. Hit the subscribe button right now. Hit the notification button, because what you're about to see will change everything you thought about this case. This is not speculation. This is not theory. These are facts. Documented, visible, provable. Subscribe now. And Tomaso Cioni's financial situation in early 2025 tells a very specific story. Annie and Tomaso purchased a new home in January of this year. The purchase price was $650,000. With a 6.5% to 6.12% interest rate over 30 years, that mortgage payment comes to approximately $4,750 to $5,100 per month. That's before property taxes, that's before homeowners insurance, that's before HOA fees, that's before anything else. According to public records, Tomaso Cioni makes approximately $75,000 per year. After taxes, he's taking home roughly $4,500 per month. Some online observers have questioned how the home purchase was financed on this income level, particularly given the timing relative to Nancy's disappearance. However, there is no public evidence that it was connected to Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. The property records show the sale was completed, but the details of the financing and any down payment have not been made public. Investigators have not publicly suggested financial strain as a motive. Some people have speculated that Nancy may have helped with the purchase or discovered financial irregularities, and that a confrontation over money could have occurred. But these remain theories discussed by independent investigators and online observers. Law enforcement has not publicly confirmed any of this as part of their investigation. because an 84-year-old woman with financial control of family money would absolutely go confront her daughter about unauthorized spending. She would get in an Uber and drive over there. She would demand answers face to face, not over the phone, face to face. That's what Nancy did. That's who she was. Now let's look at the ransom notes. The poetry in those notes has been analyzed by multiple sources. They're poetic in nature, specific word choices, literary structure. Phrases like, "she was buried with nature," "we never intended to hurt her," language that suggests education, language that suggests literary knowledge. Tomaso Cioni writes poetry in Italian, but he speaks English. He understands literary devices. He understands metaphor. He understands how to construct a message with emotional weight. Annie is also a writer, a poet, an author of published books. Both of them have the literary capacity to write those specific ransom notes. Both of them understand how language works. Both of them could construct that specific type of message. Now add this. The ransom notes mention specific details about Nancy, details that were never released to the public. The Apple Watch location, the medication schedule, information that someone in the household would have known about. Tomaso spent time at that house. He was staying in the casita. He had access. He had opportunity. Some investigators have pointed out that surveillance footage emerged showing Tomaso and Annie in a vehicle covering their faces with sunglasses. Some people interpreted that behavior as suspicious, given the timing and the fact that facial features were captured on the doorbell camera. However, investigators have not publicly said this behavior indicates guilt or consciousness of wrongdoing. Others have suggested innocent explanations, such as privacy concerns or discomfort with media attention during a stressful time. Without official analysis, the footage remains open to interpretation. Now let's address the Italy question. Multiple sources confirm that Tomaso Cioni traveled to Italy or allegedly considered traveling to Italy during the early investigation. He's from Italy, his family is from Italy, he has connections there. A non-extraditable country for certain circumstances. If someone wanted to disappear, if someone wanted to put distance between themselves and an investigation, Italy would be logical. But more importantly, why would law enforcement allow him to leave the country if they had any real suspicion? The answer is, they didn't know. They didn't have enough. They were focused elsewhere. Nanos had them looking in different directions while the actual suspect potentially had the freedom to move. 5 months and 2 days. 5 months and 2 days, and the financial motive is still there. The Gait analysis is still there. The poetry connection is still there. The behavioral red flags are still there. The access is still there. The opportunity is still there. What isn't there is an arrest. What isn't there is a confession. What isn't there is justice for Nancy Guthrie. Multiple callers on independent investigations have pointed to similarities in gait patterns and behavior. Some behavioral analysts have noted comparable physical characteristics between the porch footage and Tomaso's documented movements. However, investigators have not publicly released official gait analysis or stated that these observations constitute evidence of involvement. Supporters of this theory believe that when multiple observers independently identify similar patterns, it warrants closer scrutiny. However, the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Office have not publicly identified Tomaso as a suspect or indicated that these observations are part of their investigative focus. We don't know what happened that night. Nancy Guthrie disappeared from her home, and 5 months and 2 days has passed without a resolution. Multiple theories exist about what may have occurred. What we do know is that the public deserves answers, and investigators need to pursue every credible lead. To the investigators working this case, the evidence is there. It's documented. It's visible. It's in the walk. It's in the finances. It's in the poetry. It's in the behavior. It's in the access. Follow it. Pursue it. Let the facts lead you where they lead you. To Nancy Guthrie's family, we haven't forgotten. The world hasn't forgotten. And someone out there knows exactly what happened. If you have information about Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, contact authorities immediately. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Pima County Sheriff, 52035-14900. The reward is $1.2 million. Anonymous. Completely confidential. Someone knows, someone has the answer, and they need to come forward. 5 months and 2 days without Nancy. 5 months and 2 days of her family waiting for answers. 5 months and 2 days of investigation that hasn't yielded public charges. The Gait similarities, the financial questions, the literary patterns in the notes, the behavioral observations. These elements have been noted by independent investigators, but they remain theories rather than confirmed evidence. Supporters of this theory believe these details deserve closer scrutiny, but investigators have not publicly identified him as a suspect. The case remains open, and law enforcement continues to pursue leads. Bring Nancy home.